When 2 Point Hospital released in 2018 on Windows, it received a lot of attention due to it being labelled as a spiritual successor to 1997's much revered Theme Hospital from Bullfrog Productions. With some of the team involved in Theme Hospital, as well as many other classic simulation games, being part of this project, such as Theme Hospital's producer and the lead artist, Mark Webley and Gary Carr respectively, as well as composer Russell Shaw, hopes were high that this would be a hit. Well, the game is about to land on the Nintendo Switch. Is it the spoonful of sugar needed to help the medicine go down? I'm Glenn for SwitchUp, thank you to Sega for the review code, and now let's find out.
You deserve the best, so join us at 2 Point Hospital.
The aim of the game is to build a series of successful hospitals that will cater for a number of people with various ailments, from the traditional to the more outlandish. In terms of the basic gameplay mechanics, you need to start off by building a reception desk, followed by a GP's office and a pharmacy. At this point you are effectively good to go. Soon after though, you will be building diagnosis centres to help with more obscure ailments, and a ward in order to be able to treat more people at once. After this there will be the wackier illnesses, which call for their own separate rooms in order to be treated, and should you manage to maintain all of this, you will soon find your hospital being given a star rating. The criteria for achieving a star rating will be displayed in the top right corner of the screen, and you are able to reach a maximum of 3 stars on each hospital. You can move on to the next hospital after achieving your first star, but are able to stay in your current hospital in order to get the additional 2 stars first should you wish, or you could return at a later date. Each star rating brings a boost in reputation, which is very important moving forward, as well as a set amount of money being added to the hospital's coffers and new items being unlocked for purchase and placement in any of your hospitals. As well as the money your hospital earns, there is a second in-game currency called Kudosh. This can be used to unlock additional items, which again can then be purchased and placed in any of your hospitals. Kudosh can be earned in a number of ways, including challenges that will pop up in your inbox, such as accepting an overspill of patients from another hospital, which must all be treated within a set time, boosting the prestige of one of your rooms to a certain level, or by earning a positive report after a health inspection. Another way to earn Kudosh is to win awards at the annual ceremony across the various categories. A key component to achieving success is keeping both staff and patients happy. There are a number of ways to do this, from ensuring that their basic needs are met with enough toilets, a staff room, bins to keep things tidy and snacks and drinks machines, to more intricate methods such as promoting members of staff when the time is right and ensuring that their current salary matches their ability. Keeping patient deaths down to a minimum will also keep happiness and morale up, and should the unfortunate happen, you may find yourself with a ghost in the hospital. In this case, hiring a janitor with the ghost catching ability is the only way to deal with such a problem. You mustn't forget though that this is a business at the same time, and you will need to get a grip on finances. Successful diagnoses and treatment of various ailments, as well as sales of food and other such items, will boost your money, and yes, putting the salty snacks next to the drinks machine still works a charm. You may even need to fire staff at times in order to cut costs. When initially hiring staff, balancing the salary they would demand with the skills they bring is key. Do you hire someone with a long range of skills on a high salary, or someone who is keen to learn and can be trained up? Some of the character traits are worth paying attention to also. Do you want your receptionist constantly away from the desk due to having a weak bladder, for example? Once you are ready to move on to a new hospital, you will find that new hospitals will mean new illnesses and therefore new treatments, staff and rooms being unlocked. This keeps things fresh, with each bringing their own challenges. You'll also find yourself being able to upgrade machines at around this point too, for an additional cost, but of course with a higher output and therefore potentially better results. There is also the potential to expand into new sites within one hospital, and this will be essential as you begin to uncover more illnesses that need their own specialised areas. Good space management is just as imperative as managing morale and the finances. Perhaps they could have included a way to set a default layout, say for example your waiting area, that could be transferred across to new hospitals, just to save you from having to line up 12 benches perfectly every time you progress, and allow for some uniformity across your hospitals. Being someone that grew up with Theme Park and Theme Hospital, I was quite used to moving on and starting again from scratch, but I can see this could be a little irritating, and this would have just been an easy way to freshen the formula up a touch. That being said, you can copy a room by pressing the minus button on it and recreating it somewhere else, but not across hospitals and not for custom arrangements such as a reception area, complete with a range of items, to use the earlier example. In terms of controls, movement of the camera around the hospital is handled via the left stick, with you also being able to rotate the camera by moving the right stick. You can zoom in and out by pressing the ZL and ZR buttons respectively, and holding down ZL for long enough will give you a bird's eye view of the hospital. You can pause proceedings by clicking in the left stick, and adjust the speed at which time passes by clicking the right stick. Placing rooms is a matter of holding down the A button whilst you select your dimensions, and then letting go to place the foundations. I did occasionally find myself placing an item only to find that the perspective had tricked me and it wasn't actually where I believed it was. This is easily remedied though, as you can pick up items and relocate them at will without any penalty. For those curious, touchscreen controls are not implemented in handheld mode. In terms of menu management and navigation, an area that can cause conversions of such games to consoles to sometimes come unstuck, things are surprisingly simple and easy to use. Pressing the Y button will highlight the menu buttons housed in the bottom left of the screen, and you can then select which menu you need by cycling with the R button. You can choose from being able to purchase new rooms, items or hire staff, to viewing the statistics of your current staff, or even get a visual indicator of patients and staff's views on a number of aspects such as their current hunger and thirst or boredom levels, allowing you to be proactive in addressing any such issues before they become too big. After completing a hospital and moving on, you can return to a previous one as already mentioned, upgrading any machines or adding any new items you have since unlocked. This is useful if you did not achieve 3 stars, and whilst there isn't a huge incentive to go back if you did, it does at least continue to count towards your career goals numbers, which in turn will earn you more kudos and will also count towards your empire's overall value. There will be a sandbox mode added as a free update at the end of March, which is very good news as this was something that felt like it was needed to increase the longevity. At the moment, as much fun as each hospital is, it feels like they are fine-tuning you to be a master of hospital management, teaching you each intricate mechanic, only for there not to really be an opportunity for you to use this and create your dream hospital. Once the update comes though, this niggle will be rectified. This update will also add the Superbug game mode, already available on the PC. I've never played the game on PC, but here this particular game mode is a popular part of the game, and again it will further add to the game's lifespan. Gameplay is incredibly addictive, with an extra layer of depth due to the staff training and addition of individual skills, and scores 18 out of 20. Controls actually transfer over very well, with occasional blips in placing items easily remedied, and score 17 out of 20. When it comes to the visuals, the game adopts almost a claymation approach to its character design. They have a strong Wallace and Gromit look to them, with elongated smiles stretching their facial proportions, and this decision has potentially given the game a more timeless feel than standard 3D character models would have done. The character animations are excellent and really do help to add a huge amount of life, charm and energy to the game. Watching the cures to the obscure diseases for the first time is always great fun, and the craft and imagination that has gone into these is clear. There could have perhaps at times been a little more variety. For example, the illness Mockstar, which sees people impersonating famous musicians, is great when you see a faux Freddie Mercury strut across the ward for the first time, but when you realise that everybody is Freddie Mercury, it loses a little of its lustre. Building the same room type across hospitals will also highlight this repetition in assets, although you can at least change the colours of the walls using your kudos coins to combat this to an extent. Performance wise, on the whole things were very good, and whilst I haven't played all the way through to the final hospitals, a compulsion to 3-star everything in such games saw to this, even when I had a hospital with all additional areas built and large amount of patients waiting, there was no noticeable slowdown. There were a few occasional stutters, but they were few and far between and never affected the gameplay. In terms of the audio, 2 Point Hospital manages to feel familiar yet new at the same time. It achieves this by taking some of the best remembered parts of Theme Hospital, namely the bizarre tannoy announcements, but what it also does is include a hospital DJ. His quips about the health service add a slightly different sense of humour to proceedings, and whilst the lines do start to repeat after a while, his inclusion is certainly welcomed. The game's soundtrack is also played via this hospital radio station, which again is a nice touch. Visuals are humorous and charming, although they will become repetitive after a while and score 17 out of 20. Audio is very similar in that the lines of dialogue are amusing until they start to repeat a little too often, and also score 17 out of 20. 2 Point Hospital costs £34.99, €39.99 or $39.99, and for this price you get 15 hospitals to attempt a 3-star. The promised addition of both a sandbox mode and the superbugs feature will certainly raise the value of the game, leading to a more endless gameplay loop as opposed to the level based structure at the moment, but these hospitals will take you a fair while to get through, especially if you go for maximum stars. Value scores 18 out of 20. To conclude, 2 Point Hospital is a fantastic spiritual successor to a well-loved and much missed game in Theme Hospital. The core gameplay mechanics that made that game so successful are present here, and with easy to navigate menus and a level of depth that is revealed slowly, the pace of the game is also incredibly even. Repetition will set in, and this is exacerbated somewhat by a lack of variety in some of the assets, but if you have any sort of affinity for simulation or management games, or serious nostalgia for Theme Hospital, then this is an absolute no-brainer.
Patients now arriving for the ward.
2 Point Hospital gets a SwitchUp score of 87%. Many thanks as always everybody for watching. I hope you enjoyed this review. Please do remember to leave a like if you did. This was our first review code from Sega, so another little milestone for the channel, and we thank everyone that's helped us get to this point. On that note, a quick thank you to our Patreons for your continued support, and to each and every one of you for watching our channel. Take care, and until next time, happy gaming.
Maintenance